Ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, Scott Hammond with the 100% Humboldt podcast with my new best friend, John Woolley. Hi, John.
Hi there, Scott. Good to see you.
It's great to be seen. How's your day?
Not bad. Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Man,
Yeah, it's great.
60 degrees?
Yeah.
Perfect outside. I was just driving in. I'm going, man, those poor suckers in Iowa,
Yeah.
where I'm from.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah.
I just talked to my uncle. He turned 80. They go
Oh.
from Sioux City, Iowa, down to
Ah.
Mobile Shores in Alabama,
Uh-huh.
where it's 40 degrees and freezing.
Geez. Was he a corn farmer too, or?
Now he delivered propane to farmers
No.
for like 40 years, and now they leave 3 months out of the year and go down there. So tell us the John Woolley story, just the John Woolley arc, and then we'll go circle back.
Okay. Well, well, I was born in
Yes.
1962. I came up here after being born and living 18 years all around. My folks were great. My dad was being transferred, so we went from San Francisco all the way through Denver and Toledo and back to L.A.
Wow.
And then it came up here in 1962 to go to Humboldt.
Wow.
It was
Humboldt
good.
State University, not Cal Poly.
No, it was Humboldt State College then.
That's right. Before there was the
Yeah.
teacher's college.
Yeah, normal school they called it, yeah.
Right. 62.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time ago.
It is. It creeps up on you, but it's
Yeah.
happening.
I figure you for 62 or 3.
I'm 63.
All
I'm
right.
also 64.
Yeah. Again
Yeah.
and again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just turned 65, and it's funny how many people even today I talk to that 70s, 80s, they go, I don't know where it went.
That's true.
And you shake your head, you go, I've raised 9 kids here, and
Yeah.
came up in 78,
Yeah.
and now it's 25. Are you kidding me?
Man.
And it's almost Christmas.
Yeah. Coming up again. Yeah.
Christmas, folks, right around the corner.
Well, you have to start with 9. How many grandchildren?
We have 11 now.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to start saving now.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's I'm going broke, man. It's killing me. My wife, I got more stuff. I sent more stuff. I go, okay, that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's a grandparently duty, I guess. So, so what'd you study at Humboldt?
Well, I came up to go into fisheries.
Oh.
And my dad hitched up here in the 40s. He worked for a company called Engskel, which was a fountain supply. So he got to know Joe Carter and the Eli's at Varsity Cafe.
Sure.
So he knew the area, and he said, John, it's a good place to go.
Wow.
So that's why I came up here. But then I was telling Nick that the thing that really captured our attention in the 60s was the Vietnam War era that it was. The draft really had an impact on all college students that were attending,
Right.
and made them focus their attention on what that draft meant to them, both as a country but also individually.
Mm-hmm.
So that, obviously it was a tumultuous time. I got caught up in it a little bit. I became active in student government and started different things, and managed to stay employed working on that forever, it seems like.
So you went to Palos Verdes High School.
Yeah.
I know where that is.
Oh, you do?
On the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, my father-in-law lived at PCH in Crenshaw.
Oh, yeah.
So he's just right up the hill in Torrance there.
Right. That's where I lived in Rolling Hills, it's called, right?
Beautiful.
On the canyon that went up Hawthorne.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
Now, if I had to live in L.A., that wouldn't be a bad gig.
It was pretty nice. My mom always found us a good place to live.
I imagine back in the day that the Rolling Hills, they call it the hill, right?
Well, we were not behind the gates. There was the gates, and we were on the other side, but it was still
the ghetto part.
Yeah, right. But no, I moved there in 61 and opened up Palos Verdes High in 62.
Wow.
Graduated and came up here. So I was only there for a year at PCH, yeah.
Great place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always loved visiting there and going down, and a lot of good memories. We've had the occasion to go to the Getty Museum last couple of times.
Nice.
Which did not burn, by the way, which is good news.
Good.
But yeah, LA's fun. I used to really cut a cuss it. Now it's like, oh, there's stuff to do if you get time to sit in traffic for a minute.
Yeah, that's where I learned to surf, and I brought my surfboard up with me in 62.
Oh, nice. Is that right?
There weren't many of us.
Did you ever meet Doc Ball?
No, I never had the opportunity. I wish
The
I
legend.
had. Yeah.
The man, the myth, the legend. So
Right.
Doc Ball, for those of you who don't know, he surfed Shelter Cove, which is way down there. He's one of the first guys to surf up here I guess in the 40s or 50s.
Yeah, he had the big redwood boards,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he was old school, and,
Yeah.
what a nice man. He was a Gideon at the end. He would raise funds for the Gideon's Bibles
Oh,
that were in all the
oh,
hotels. He was really a hardcore believer, and he loved Jesus, and
oh,
what a
man.
sweet, sweet guy, and then his son, I guess, was Doc Ball, Jr.
Oh, up here at Humboldt, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in Arcade, I think.
right,
And I think he's also retired, so that kinda dates him, but yeah, nice man.
yeah.
So
It
PV, and you surfed, like, Torrance Beach or Redondo?
well, it was Redondo and the beach cities, but we'd go to from Malibu, all the way down to Dana Point,
Nice.
different places. My folks had a Ford, station wagon, and we'd plug the boards
Sweet.
up, and off we go. My next-door neighbor was Rick Griffin, who's now passed, but he was the cartoonist for Surfer Magazine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he led me astray in all the surfing knots and stuff, so it was
sure.
good.
Boy, that's early surf days.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah.
Oh, you're a cool guy after all.
I'll do in a pinch anyway. Yeah.
So, did you end up with a fisheries degree at Humboldt?
No, I gravitated. I got one class taught me is that it was NR2, I think is the class name. It was Natural Resources Lower Division,
Mhm.
and the prof was really good. So he said, which struck me was, "You think you're in here to manage the fish or whatever, or the birds and the bees, what have you?"
Mhm.
They say, "No, you're here to manage the people who are using the birds and the bees,
Wow.
etc." And I went, "Ooh,
Game changer.
yeah." So that changed. I went from that to education, politics. So I graduated in political science, essentially,
Okay.
because I became active on campus with starting with what is now called YES, Youth Educational Services.
Familiar with it, yeah.
Yep. And I started an experimental college, it was called.
Was that
So,
cluster?
no, it was, in those days, you would register in the gym by going through long lines,
Mhm.
and you keep track of the chalkboard that was still, and they would erase and say, no, that class doesn't. So you'd always have to be checking your sheet.
Oh,
So I put a cardboard table up in the middle of the line, and I had volunteers on both sides. And I say, "What would you do? You know how to do anything that you like to tell people about?"
huh.
"Oh, yeah, I'd like to teach them fly tying."
Sure.
And so I set up classes for people to get to know each other, and fly tying became one of the classes as an example.
Huh.
That was the experimental college.
I like that. So, no credits?
No credits,
Yeah.
just fun.
Just for fun,
Yeah,
which is the right answer for education.
I think so. It's a
Yeah.
good start.
Should be fun. What are we doing if we're not having fun?
Yeah, yeah.
I had a friend that plays pickleball up in, Medford. He had a friend that plays traveling baseball,
Oh,
kinda our age.
uh-huh.
And he goes, "It costs me 10 grand a year, and it's not any fun." He goes, "What are you doing in it?" Or,
Yeah,
"If it's not fun,
right.
what are you doing, man?" And he goes, "Yeah, you're right." Huh.
There's a good buddy my age that still plays in the senior circuit, and he's 80, and it's a different rules for him right now, but he's still playing. He's still at
80s,
it.
wow.
Yeah.
Baseball or
Softball.
softball?
Yeah. They go to St. George, Utah, I think it is.
Big tournament?
It's a senior tournament for all sports.
Huh,
It's huge.
huh.
It's great.
A lot of silver hair folks there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So we'll go up to the Brit Festival in Oregon and see Jackson Brown or whoever, and Jody will look around and she goes, "There's our tribe, man. We're all here.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
with the silver hair folks are
Right,
here,"
right.
which is kind of funny. Some of the,
It's all true.
it's all true. My coach calls it advanced maturity.
Well, I don't know how advanced we are or how mature we are, but it's
both, both are questionable.
yeah, yeah.
So you started YES because that has still has is that still there?
I believe it is. It still has about
Yes
300
House?
volunteers a year
Yeah.
going through the program.
Yeah, they did a lot of good stuff for the
Yeah.
community, right?
It was, back in those days, the concept of town and gown
Mhm.
was prevalent. When I first came to Humboldt, there was only about 2,500 students overall. And so it was really an enclave unto itself,
Mhm.
not much community interaction at all. And
Across
so
the highway that wasn't there yet.
right, yeah, and it came in
Well, there was
later.
there was a 2-lane highway.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, right there, with the light and all that.
right.
Yep, yep. So we started youth tutoring a youth, a tutorial program, and I talked to the Arcata School District, allowing us to use then the Manila school because they had to shut it down for a lack of enrollment.
Oh.
So we opened it up, ran tutorial programs during the afternoon and evening hours, and that was the first year. And then the year after that, we expanded it to YES, Youth Educational Services, so that we could take in other interest areas of college students besides just education, counseling, river rafting, for example, what became a program. So that it really just spawned and went crazy after that.
Yeah. Interesting. So my involvement was with a fella who you probably know. I can't remember his name right now, but during the Carter years when I was at Humboldt,
Right.
he was going to reinstitute the draft, or maybe President Reagan instituted that, but they were threatening another draft. And I did a conscientious objector file.
Oh.
Which is really interesting because now I support Humboldt Heroes. We're all about veterans, and who isn't? But the story is I went back and I was sharing this with my father, who's a World War II P-51 killer, diller, great guy pilot. And he looked at me, and I still could see the hurt in his eyes that his son was a CO, and it's because of Jesus, Dad, and I couldn't really bear to kill anybody. And I think that's all valid and actually pretty okay. But the grace of the man, knowing that his knucklehead hippie son at 19 was going to have 10 other permeations of maturity, and we're still working on growing up. And so I look at my dad now and remember him in deep grace.
There you go.
Yeah. He used to say, "Wanda, let the kid grow up," and shouldn't we all let each other grow up a little bit more?
Yeah, it's part of the process at a tender age. That is.
Yeah. Even at our tender age.
Thanks.
Please let us grow up.
Yeah, really.
I'm trying to grow up, man. It's just difficult.
And I'm not that tender anymore.
Yeah. It's too much fun to not grow up. That's what I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
So YES, then you graduated. Did you get a grad degree there?
No, I got my teaching credential, but then I decided just to experiment. I hitched across country, came back, worked in the mill, went commercial fishing. And then I said, well, I want to start working in the community. So I wrote some grants up and got them funded with the Higher Education Act of 65, and managed to hire myself to work in community development programs. So I did that for a couple of years, focusing on Manila. And that's where we started the preschool programs, which soon became then Head Start, the first Head Start.
Wonderful. So did that spawn Manila West Haven parent?
Yes. Well, Manila stood alone, and then we included West Haven. And you're right.
Yeah.
Manila West Haven Parent Council.
Yeah.
Then it grew. Then it became North Coast Children's Services.
Okay. And that was the funding arm for the Humboldt Rec program, the recreation program.
Right. And that was
Peter Shepard.
Yeah.
And Greg
we actually started at the Center for Community Development.
Okay.
And then what the center was good at was getting things going, but finding how to get them integrated into the community. Yeah. And the community would run off with them. And that's what North Coast Children's Services eventually did.
Yeah.
And Pete Shepard, as you're mentioning.
Yep. Hey, Pete.
Yep. He was a good leader for that program.
What a great guy, him and Greg Devaney.
Yeah. We had 19 at one point summer programs going.
They were wonderful. I was part of many of them.
Oh, good.
Yeah. As part of Arcata.
Whereabouts? Which?
I actually started at Blue Lake as an aide through the CETA program through Farrell Star.
Yeah.
So these are all grant-funded, cool things that were happening in the 70s, 80s.
Yeah. Yeah. There was. By chance, the center's boss was Tom Parsons.
Okay.
And his wife, Sarah.
Legend, right?
Yep. Sarah knew Jimmy Carter really well because they both served in Georgia's school board activities. Sarah wrote the book From Southern Wrongs to Civil Rights.
Wow.
She talks about growing from a debutante to an activist in that book, and includes in stories about Tom, their relationship, and their move out to here.
That was legendary. How long ago did she pass?
She passed at 100 I'm thinking about 10 years ago now. And Tom passed a bit after that.
Huh.
Their son Tim lives in South Lake Tahoe, and their daughter lives in Alameda, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So they were
Pam.
So was she key at getting funding, federal funding because of the connections?
Well, we
Or she just found out how you could do it and then
she she was a name known within the Carter administration.
Mhm,
We knew how to make things happen,
mhm.
so we just used the good graces of what she could say
Right.
and then wrote to some of the key players, and they made sure because that was also the period of the expansion
Mhm.
of Redwood National Park. Huge controversial time that allow us to bring in what we would call change monies
Mhm.
and labor dollars, economic development dollars
Right.
to the area.
And recreation for all the kids
Well, that was
and
state money.
families.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
that was
Davis-Grunski
California.
Act was the one that,
Okay.
got that going.
Yeah, and I'm gonna use my prop here. So imagine this county with how many 19 programs? So rural recreation for kids that live in the sticks for 6 to 8, 10 weeks a summer.
Right.
And some of these programs had 15, 20, some of them had 50, 60 kids with nothing to do. All of us ne'er-do-wells, including the staff,
At times,
and, we'd go up to
truly.
Camp Kimtu in Willow Creek and do
Yeah,
outings, and
yeah.
then I finally, took over Trinidad, rec
Oh,
program,
oh,
group called
good.
Galoya. They paid
Oh,
me
yes.
$5 an hour.
Right.
I mean,
You were
Nick, I
rich.
was making bank, bro. Yeah, I was rich.
Yeah.
And, so my experience is kind of funny one. Turns out that Petey didn't have any insurance. There was no liability. So I did want to do one injury. So I had 2 injuries with
Mm.
kids that were completely not my fault for the record. But at that point, my career was over and I was, 20 and a rec major and I'm not going to do this crap. But we got through it all. Parents were pretty cool about it.
Yeah.
Somebody got a tooth knocked out.
What I found really uplifting was we would put kids from Willow Creek with kids from Eureka
Mhm.
at a week-long summer camp together,
Perfect.
and that's how they got to know each other, experience different lifestyles, different
Right.
things, and so we did that several camps throughout the summer,
Mhm.
and we ran it. It didn't last, it unfortunately,
Sure.
there's still gems of it or germs of it, I guess, but
Mhm.
not the same.
Yeah, times change, and
Yep.
yeah, it's too bad because that was a really wonderful program, and I was
Mhm.
really glad to be part of that. So all that community development, talking to Wesley Chesbrough, I mean, he was really instrumental in things like recycling. But was Yes about recycling and things of that nature too?
I think so. I when I was when I did my gig, I soon left, so it became more of a flowering for different programs.
Mhm.
Um, one of my good friends, Tom Westlow, he was part of LEAP, which was the river rafting
Mhm.
experience for
Do you
kids.
have a beard?
Huh?
Do you have a
Yes.
beard?
Yeah. He still does.
He said he still has the beard. Nice beard, Tom.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
So I can't remember all the programs, but what I do like is the fact that it still attracts people and it's still going here some almost 60 years, I guess.
Yeah. Good legacy.
Yeah.
So where'd you go from there? So you poli-sci major, you're in the community. Did you immediately run for supervisor?
No, that was in the mid-70s when I l realized that some of the grant programs were gonna end, and so we got some things going, and they stayed in the community.
Mhm.
But then I went and worked for the center. Tom hired me as assistant director,
Okay.
and I worked from about 73 through 76, starting things and getting them out and
Mhm.
about. One of the major ones for me was the senior citizen efforts. I hired Patty Berg and Greg O'Leary. They did the planning,
Mhm.
and then we got the funding for then the Humboldt Senior Resource Center,
Right.
RSVP, some other meals programs, and we put them out in the community, and they still are going well today.
Yeah. Considered to be one of the better ones in the state, maybe?
I would say so,
I
but
think
then we're biased.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's okay. No, it seems like they really perform. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they're out there and,
Yeah. They're doing great.
they're our go-to for Medicare questions, and
Mhm.
they're
Mhm.
pretty available and pretty present.
The other one that stands out for me was an community-based economic development effort.
Mhm.
Given the change in old growth logging no longer really available and mills were going down, we needed options to be developed that could build on the legacy of the work that was here
Mhm.
and create other opportunities.
Mhm.
So we created the Ag Development Project, and several good staffers were the ones that led the day on creating a 15-volume ag development project that gave us the guidance by which the farmers markets ag development could be taking place.
Wow.
And so North Coast Growers Association grew from that.
Right.
And then we had forest improvement training program where we realized that people can make other livings in the woods
Mhm.
besides just cutting trees.
Yeah.
Pre-commercial thinning, trail building, other things like that
Mhm.
are also seasonal. So you can still do logging, but you can build in. If you look at a spectrum of time during the whole year,
Mhm.
there are other jobs you can do related to what you had as a
Wow.
skill. So we developed that, and then we started the first small business development center.
Wow.
And Joan Rainwater Gish, I don't know if
Sure.
you Joan.
Know her?
Joan was my accountant. I made her into the.
Huh.
She was the one that really carried the ball.
Is downtown Eureka, or was it based
Yeah,
in
it was
Eureka?
based in Well, it was at the Carson Block where we had the headquarters,
Mhm.
and she ran the business development center there.
The first SBDC?
Yep.
Well,
Well, it wasn't really. It wasn't, and
it's
it
something
was.
else then.
Yeah, yeah.
But it developed into that?
Well, the SBDC became a flowering of what Redwood Region Economic Development Commission
Mhm.
created,
Hmm.
and by which those loan programs needed guidance from people that could help small business owners get started. SBDC is the perfect model.
Mhm.
So that anyway, so it would take over what we were doing then
Wow.
and go on from there. So yeah,
That's so cool. The things we take for granted, like the farmer's market or the marsh
right.
or the YES programs, um, Manila West Haven Parent Council,
Mm-hmm.
they all started somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, oh, farmers markets. That just didn't happen one day.
Right.
These guys have a whole machine, right?
Well, it's really much larger in scope than what we first thought it would be,
Mhm.
and we're thankful that it's really successful, and the fact that it really represents when you look at the demographic uh, uh, landscaping
Mhm.
of our area with the 5 microclimates we have.
Mhm.
Humboldt used to be able to feed itself
Wow.
over time
Hmm.
because of those microclimates.
Hmm.
And so I think the Ag Development Project helped guide and steer those thoughts. So people who wanted to be farmers could use that information and go off on their own and create it. So all we did was become a vehicle by which people made the things work both in growing and also in markets.
Yeah. Went to the farmer's market Saturday. I hadn't been to one in a while in Arcata. It's great, man. What a great outing.
Yeah, yeah.
Just made a
See
couple
people
laps and,
right.
hey, what's up? Oh, look
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
It's Jersey Scoops.
Yeah.
Ice cream. Hey, it's
Right.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's the egg lady, and then our friend
Uh-huh.
Jim Pauley from Fieldbrook used to sell apples. He's like an apple savant. He's really hardcore.
Oh, good.
A little old for it now. I think he doesn't do it. But so, how did you then become into the political realm, John?
Well, let's see. So we had to kill our the corp that we started that was the umbrella over these other things that are happening in the community
Mhm.
was called Redwood Community Development Council. So when Reagan came into office, he did a lot of cutting of funding, and CETA was one of them.
Yeah.
So we saw the handwriting. We killed the corporation, got the services to still exist, either under different umbrellas or on their own.
Oh.
And then that's where our Redwood Community Action Agency came into play,
Mhm.
and they're the ones carrying the ball for the community development work at that
and
time,
CETA
and
was
still do to this day.
right.
Yeah.
So CETA was long after Reagan. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
still going with
Yeah.
Beryl Starr and
Yeah.
Rodney and Jose Quesada and all those
Right.
guys.
Right. All those guys.
So, I mean, all these guys used to come out to Kim for the rec program. That's how I met you. In fact, I think
Oh, okay.
you'd been up there a
Oh,
time
yeah.
or two with the kids.
I was the director at the Redway camp. What was that called? Anyway, the Redway. It was a
Is that
YMCA camp.
Is that
at the time.
Ravenwood?
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Could be.
Can't remember.
There's Camp St. Michael's too. That's down by Leggett, though.
Yeah.
That's Catholic.
Kim Montgomery. Do you know that name?
I do. You met
Yeah.
Kim?
Yep.
Yep.
He's a
He was a
good
dude, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was those were beginning of many people's careers that just went on their own. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all still around in certain ways, so
Yeah.
it's really good that way.
I had a good seated job. I had my first desk job. It was right over here on Boone and Harrison.
Mm-mm.
And my job was to go bring you, a 14-year-old, to a builder and job shadow for
Oh,
a day.
good.
I had to sell that thing.
Yeah.
And it was It was great. Still saw Roy Hadeen the other night. He was
Ah.
one of my first, he was a contractor. He had a kid on his job site just to see if a kid would like to be a contractor.
That effort is still being thought of and talked about today, but it's in terms of apprenticeships.
Hmm.
The more we can do that and offer opportunities that maybe are not the classical high school, college, what have you, but
Mhm.
help sponsor other activities that kids want to do.
Maybe trades.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, the trades guys came and heard them speak. They were great. What a great program. Wow. So we're getting to the political realm
Well,
here.
but when I had to kill, then I worked for Hoopa
Hmm.
and developed some programs up there for them.
Mm,
Then I jumped to Northern California Indian Development Council
sure.
and became a planner, a building manager, tribal development. I worked on tribal petitions for Norelmuk Wintu
Hmm.
out of Hayfork
Hmm.
and Sonumwe, South Fork Hoopa, right there at Friday Ridge and all
Mhm.
that area, and really enjoyed that.
Mhm.
And then wrote up a bunch of programs for disaster relief, things like that.
Wow. So you were right downtown the Carson block?
Yeah, that's where our headquarters were, right.
Yeah. Who was the guy that headed it up? I don't know if he's there anymore.
You're probably thinking, well, there's two significant people, Bill Risling
Bill
and Terry Colcha followed him.
and Terry. I knew Terry.
But Bill and Terry have now passed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then Greg Gear
Mhm.
just retired, and he took over what Terry had started. And now the building is full up. It's got
Oh, man.
all sorts of things going on.
How much money did they put in that to redevelop?
It was a $17 million project.
Oh, my gosh. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just went up with to Patrick's place at Lost Coast
Oh, good.
Communications.
Yeah, you know the spot then.
Their open house. Oh,
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Hanson Pereira fiduciaries up there. It's just
Right.
like
Oh, okay.
remodel. I mean, actually, I think they're owned by Bob from Globe.
Yeah.
Anyways.
You know Terry Sapalhan?
Mm-mm.
He'd be an interesting sort because he runs North Coast, what was it? No, True North.
Yeah.
But it does a lot of organizing for families in minority-based communities throughout Humboldt, Del Norte, and other places as well. It's quite a good story by itself.
Yeah.
So he works out of there as well.
Okay. Yeah. There's was a theater in there at one time.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah, it was a boxing ring at one time.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Freshwater had diving
Yeah.
at the old park there.
Uh-huh.
They had guys that would come through and tour and do Olympic
Right.
diving. I'm
Right.
like, what? So give me some memorable stories. So in your journey, and we're still pre-supervisor here, what stands out? I mean, did you shake hands with John Wayne or something? I mean, what kind of
Well,
what stories kind of catch your attention?
I think a story that what I like is I organized in Manila and fell in love with the community. I mean, here you are. I live right on the bay, just across the highway from the ocean.
Beautiful.
There's no place to go because it's all natural resource surrounded. So I bought my place and then became active in the community on the Services District Board.
Sure.
We were unfortunately laid bare from liability insurance programs, so I helped start a pool, and now it's a statewide pool. And that was fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you get up and you could see the sun rising over.
Oh, I have
Fickle Hill.
pictures. Yeah.
Oh, I bet that's amazing.
Yeah. And then the park it used to be a burned down lumber mill, and it was about 11 acres. And it became rat infested with car bodies back in the.
Pretty rough little place, right?
Oh, it was terrible.
Go to Manila for drugs.
Yeah. It was bad way back. And Mary Jo Babolat was a PTA member. She too was upset with it, but she found the means by which we can get the funding to clean it all up. And then we have people in the community that wanted to take ownership of it. And so for $1, the county turned it over to the Services District. So now it's a community park.
That's wonderful. Did you have any hand in Malal Dunes with the BLM?
Not directly, but indirectly. I was part of the county had a master plan for coastal dunes activities, and it dealt with off-road vehicles, carving up dunes. Malal Dunes was really a great gal. Andrea Pickard was the driving force in that.
Really? Is she still around?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Huh.
And
Shout
then,
out to Andrea, yeah.
Pardon me?
Shout out to Andrea.
Yeah, yeah. And Carol Vandermeer at Friends of the Dunes was very active with the nature development that they have on their properties. So it changed quite a bit from, let's say, mid-90s to the
Mhm.
present day.
Yeah. So my wife Joni's a big hiker. You've met Joni a time
Yes.
or two, and she drugged me out there. Where are we going? I don't want to go for a hike. And so it's out here in Manila. See it right there, Arcata Bay.
Right.
And I looked across the bay and I'm going, I'm up on this giant dune, like from Star Wars, from one of the movies. And I'm down in Glamis dunes, it's like, and it's just an unbelievable view back at the mountains and the Arcata
Mhm.
bottom and the bay. And you go, why haven't I done this before? And because there's a lot of acres too, right?
Right.
And you could do the hike along the bay, and then it goes over the dunes. You
Right.
circle back, and
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
And you can get down to the wave slope, and there's channels out.
yeah,
One other story, I think, from Manila's standpoint,
hmm
is that Danny O'Hara, uh, now passed unfortunately, but was the leader in keeping us with grant and innovative funding for then creating a wastewater system
oh,
that moved from a leach field into a facultative pond system, meaning there's 3 ponds that collect the effluent, and if it is Bob Gearhart, the architect, designer, operational
yeah,
sometimes,
legend.
of the Arcata Marsh,
Hmm.
he created the same kind of program in Manila,
How about that?
and it won the small district award for innovative approaches for wastewater treatment.
Still functional?
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. So what I put it together, inferring with what you're telling me, is that there's been a series of creative folks that had vision and had connection enough to pull down the right ideas and match the right funding. And so now we have sewage in Manila. I mean, amongst other things,
Right.
farmers markets,
Right.
um,
The disc golf
disc golf. There you go. That's right.
and the mini putt.
And the putt-putt. Yeah. He came from Rio Del, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that mini golf.
Yeah.
Hey, it's
Yeah.
our mini golf. The I was thinking about some of the other programs, and it's just like it's astounding stuff we just our kids take for granted. Oh, there was always a marsh pot project to go hike and bird watch, and it's like no, there wasn't.
No. At one
It was
time,
a dump.
it was a rat-infested dump. We used to go down there with shotguns and shoot rats.
Is that had to do something fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I imagine Humboldt State was different in the '60s. Was it?
Yes.
It wasn't quite Berkeley, but was there some tense moments with anti-war sentiment?
Exactly. I mean, yeah. I mean, I was a leader in the anti-war movement at the time when we had a student strike, and we too shut down the campus for a week. But we did teach-ins and media outreach, and we were able to keep the energy focused on doing positive things.
Yeah. And it's just so tempting to say, unlike this last round last year.
Well, every era has its different people and different things, so
Yeah,
it's hard to compare.
it is. Yeah. $2 million in damage is
Yeah.
no contest.
No.
So, lest I wax a little bitter and mention that some more, we'll move on with my notes here.
Okay.
I never do the note thing. I like that. It's my new. I'm not going to do the map anymore. I'm just going to do notes like I'm reading the news.
Just take those, have those every time. And you
I
can,
should. Hey, they could
just
be your
keep 'em.
notes, and I'll just. So you were supervisor in '96. Well, '96 to '08. Is that
Right.
2 terms? 3.
3.
Wow. For second, or is it the 5th district?
3rd district.
3rd.
My good friend Julie Fulkerson
Mhm.
was the sitting supervisor, and she was wanting to do other things. Her mindset and her beliefs and her energy can't be corralled very easily.
Mhm.
And so she went off to do what she wants to do and asked me to run.
Mhm.
So I ran, and I got good endorsements from that. And in '96, I ran in the primary and managed to take it outright.
Wow.
And then in the other terms, I didn't have any opposition.
Yeah.
So that was me back then.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice not to have to run a big campaign and go
Different
nuts,
times.
spend money, and yeah.
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 My wife was early childhood education guru, I would call her. But she was also a professor at College of the Redwoods.
Okay.
But she also was a musician,
Huh.
and she played the cello and is a vocalist for Good Company
Mhm.
and other groups as well.
Mhm.
So
Are they
they had I had the music background.
right.
I pulled them in, and off we went.
Nice. Do they still play?
Yes, Good Company is. Unfortunately, Anne Marie passed in 16,
Mm.
but their Good Company is still alive and kicking.
Mhm.
They're gonna be playing, I know, March 15th at the Bayside, hall that's being created.
Mhm.
So and they do periodic, places as
Mhm.
well, but still going good.
No, she didn't call that the Bayside Grange.
Yeah, well,
Is it the
where's
formerly
another
known as the
there's
Grange?
another story. Have Maggie come talk to you about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole story.
Yeah, by itself.
Yeah.
Right.
We used to go to church next door at the old Bayside
Oh,
Community Hall.
sure. Well, that's where it's gonna be.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's now the place, yeah.
They're retrofitting. They gave it back
Yeah,
to the community, right?
yeah. There is in yesterday's paper a story about it, I think, coming up, so,
Oh, really? Yeah.
yeah,
They periodically. So it was the Good Templars of America owned it. They
yeah.
were they were a prohibition group. And Pastor Mark wrote them a letter and they said, hey, you guys can have it for $1 a year.
Mm.
Nobody knew who had title.
Yeah, oh,
And they
boy.
donated it back. With the provision, there will be no wine in that communion.
Oh,
No problem. We just do grape juice,
no,
whatever.
temperance, the oldest temperance, I was told. Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it was a wreck and we fixed it up and we're a bunch of hippie kids from
Mhm.
wherever. And it was good. It lasted while it did. Then it's changed hands a few times.
Yeah.
Is the Grange is still there, of course. And,
Yeah, it's now that well, if as we know the story, the state Grange, took back its control legally, they felt they had, from all the work that the local folks had put into it, thinking they had ownership.
wow,
So it became a legal
the
issue,
whole thing.
and that was replicated in other Granges here in Humboldt, for that matter, and
Mhm.
elsewhere as well.
A lot of Grange halls.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And they become more community-like and less Grange-like in the sense of what Grange stood for,
Mhm.
because Grange is, I mean, where they're located, it's not all ag, it's lots of things. So,
Sure.
but anyway, that's then.
Yeah. A lot of pancake breakfast.
Yeah,
Yeah. I always remember that from the Dow's Prairie Grange where we live.
right. Fresh water.
So what are you proud of in terms of your service on the board
Mm.
specifically?
Well, I when I first got on the board, I went statewide to public hearings about the headwaters
Mm.
activities, and making a case that we believe in preserving old growth as best we can, and this is a good example. However, in so doing, the economic vitality of Humboldt gets pushed down because we don't have either the tax base nor the production any longer. So we need support from both the state and federal government,
Mhm.
and that's when we were able to capture $23 million and set up the Headwaters Fund Board.
Mhm.
And so I worked with my board then
Mhm.
and created the basis by which the Humboldt the Fedwaters Board manages it for a variety of purposes.
Sure.
And that was one, and then, I also served on the North Coast Railroad Authority as an appointee,
Hmm.
and so that was
Mhm.
challenging and still may be, but it's still, it obviously it had its role in place to try and see if we could bring it back,
Mhm.
but it really shouldn't be there now. I mean, it's really got a problem with the kind of canyon that the Eel River creates
Sure.
for the kind of track that needs to be maintained.
Mhm.
And then let's see, I also what else? I really loved working on First Five,
Ah,
uh, the 0 to 5 programs paid for by tax dollars on cigarettes and tobacco use.
right on.
And so getting that set up was good.
So that helps low-income families with
Yeah,
health-related
yeah.
family
And
kid stuff?
we still need to work on that, but that's another story. So,
Mhm.
um,
Wow, those are all cool. I
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So Headwaters Fund, $23 million. Is it designed to be invested in perpetuity and to create funding that's ongoing?
Yeah, the pressures we were getting were from people that wanted to see projects be fully funded at that point in time.
Mhm.
So we had to put that aside and say, no, we believe in something that could last forever if we can make it happen
Sure.
in with both grants and loans,
Mhm.
and that we could build off the legacy of what the interest rates were accumulating at that time, which were
Mhm.
good. Then we could use those dollars earned to support the grant
Wow.
programs, et cetera. So that's essentially the model.
Right.
that came about. I'm not sure of the upshot today, but I'm sure it's still operating with that same format
Mhm.
because we made sure it got chartered that way.
Gotcha.
So the only way it can be changed is changing the charter.
So they could blow all the 23 million, or you could have it for a
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
legacy.
and then you're reacting or responding to current conditions as they are
Mhm.
10, 15 years later instead of looking at
Mhm.
something only at one time.
Were you part of Humboldt Area Foundation at any sorta way?
No,
That was a
I mean,
separate deal, right?
I would encourage I would help people get funding through them,
Mhm.
and get funds located in there.
Who started that? Who was at the grassroots of that?
Oh, that was a gal. Well, she was the head of it, but it was a group of like-minded folks here that had the wherewithal
Mhm.
to get it going.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember no, I can't remember her name right now.
Mhm.
But she was the one that got the really structure set up
Huh.
and moved it forward. And so it is what it is today, thanks to those birth roots that were taking
They
place.
manage a lot of money, right?
Oh yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of giving.
There's a lot of good community foundations throughout Northern California that the more they can work together, especially on the margins,
Mhm.
that is population margin areas,
Mhm.
the more growth I believe we can see.
Mhm.
I believe in community development terms, it's the law of like a concentric circle.
Mhm.
You take a headquarters where things are going well, and you go out so far where people can live
Mhm.
and work. That becomes the basis for a concentric circle.
Okay.
And then you can look out and then figure out where the next one is, and how they interface is where growth might be able to take place. And that's where community economic development, I think, has a role to play.
I like it. Yeah. So, I'm thinking also, the land trust, the regional, what are they called out in freshwater?
North Coast Regional Land Trust?
That's a whole other neat
Yes.
thing, right?
Yeah, I remember
Talk about that.
Dave McMurray. I remember him being a leader in that, and I just saw him the other day. But anyway, uh, but it's taking that concept of developing conservancies on different lands throughout the area and make it large enough so that under one organization, it becomes cost effective to manage. But there's other land trusts as well, of course, Trinidad,
Mhm.
gosh darn, even the one out on Old Arcata Road, uh, can't remember, anyway, anyway,
I
they're
think I know what, yeah.
smaller ones, but they're good models.
Trinidad just did a really nice little, Topona Point there.
Mhm.
They built a deck out there. Secret spot.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, they're strawberry.
So, tell me more about, if you were to let's do the quiz. It's time. John, it's time for the quiz.
Oh, okay.
For many points, where do you go to eat if you could go anywhere tonight? Here's a gift card. Go knock yourself out.
Wow.
Where do you
There's so
go to
many
eat?
good choices. That's the trouble.
The putt-putt golf in Manila. Just kidding.
No, I'm a cafe waterfront fan.
Yeah,
I'd
big
say.
time. Yeah.
But, I would also go to 511.
Mhm.
I would love the East Indian food place. I can't remember its name. I don't know.
It's,
They're all good.
Tandoori Bites.
Candori Bites, that's the
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
He's got a pizza joint now too.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's good, buttered chicken, though. That's really good.
Oh,
Okay.
Brick and Fire, there's another.
Rick and Fire. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody has to say Larapin on the
Do I
show.
only get one gift card?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'd have two.
Okay.
I got one for you right here.
All right.
Second question for all the money. Where, you get a day off. You could do anything in Humboldt. Starts at 9, ends at 9. What are you going to do for 12 hours? And money's not an object. Pretend it's 70 degrees all day.
Well, what I really love doing is with Tom and John, my buddies, is when we go fishing on the Eel or
Oh.
the Trinity.
Mhm.
And I always love doing that,
Mhm.
going for steelhead and stuff.
Fly fishing?
Mostly plugs nowadays,
Mhm.
but I also have my little putt-putt, and I go out in the bay
Mhm.
and do a California halibut as well.
Wow.
So I like fishing and that kind of activity. And I need to walk more.
Yeah.
That's one thing I want to include.
So say we all, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good,
No
man.
hamstrings involved here.
Yeah, no, yeah. I want to do a lot more walking. Joni has me walking on the regular. All right. Where's the best cup of coffee in town?
My house.
Your house. Nice.
No, there's others.
My house.
Your house. Yeah, it's hard to beat local brews. Like,
Oh, yeah.
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 But for me, I I don't know. They're all good. I prefer, of course, the locally owned
Sure.
coffee shops and stuff
Sure.
and how they go about their business.
You know who's got good coffee now is Dick Taylor Chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh.
Nick, they got a Mexican mocha that'll blow your mind. It's, Joni gets it all the time. So
Oh, good.
when she
I'll have
goes
to try it.
shopping for our giant family, she'll go to Costco and then wind up at Dick Taylor for the
Oh, the espresso?
not too shabby.
Oh, good. I've never done that. I'll have to try that.
Yeah, they have, and of course, they have chocolate, which is really weird, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
like Kenny's chocolates too. Do you know Kenny's?
I think I've had some of Kenny's.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've met Kenny.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
But he used to be Jacques.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a good guy. Yeah, their
Yeah.
chocolate's good. Shout out to Kenny.
Yeah.
Cafe Waterfront, not too shabby either.
No, it's gone through some changes. I got the award from the chamber for hospitality of the year, and it's well deserved. Well deserved. They have a good menu, lots of good choices.
Did you go to the gala the other night when they were giving out the awards?
No. I used to go when I also worked for Jim Wood and Wesley Chesbrough
Right.
as field rep, and that's one
I
of
see
our
that on the resume here. Yeah.
yeah.
Field rep.
Right. And that's what we would do. I love going to those events.
It's funny. Just moments ago, I was looking at my wall at the my recognition because we got recognized for Humboldt Heroes the other night.
Good. For sure. Well deserved.
Yeah. For profit community involvement, and it had
perfect. That's you, baby.
state assemblyman signed it.
Yeah.
I got that baby framed on the wall.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Good.
classy.
Yeah.
You walk in, you get a plaque from the chamber,
Right.
from the soups, from the assemblyman, from the state senator. I'm going, man, where's the president here or the governor?
Yeah. Yeah, those were fun. Yeah. Del Nort went to there. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. Shout out to Eureka Chamber doing a good job.
Yep, I think
Good
so.
job, Nancy.
Yep.
So, parting shots. I always ask people, what do you want to be remembered for by? What are we saying at your celebration of life? What are you thinking you'd like? What would that be? What would that sound like?
Well, I think everyone has that because I was very active in the community in different roles, different things, is that I hope that I made a positive impression with everyone. I know there's some that I did not because we just disagreed, and that's fine. But at least if they felt that I was able to listen and either not agree, but also let them know why I didn't agree, if you wish.
Yeah.
So it's being respected for what you did in the community
Love it.
is the best thing, no matter what it was.
Great answer. I like that. Listen to and listening. Yeah. I love it. Well, hey, parting shots. Any other great stories?
No,
I mean, Sarah Parsons. That's Patty
she was-
Berg.
Yeah.
These were legendary folks that made a big difference.
I was on the Coastal Commission with, we were meeting at the Queen Mary, and that means you're in a stateroom with portholes,
right?
And so I'm sitting there, and Patty calls, "John, are you going to run or not?" And that's because then it was up for who's going to run for the assembly. I said, "No, Patty, you run." So bingo.
And she did, and she won, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Wow. Did she serve with just one term?
No, she was termed out. In other words, she ran for the 6 years.
How about that?
Yeah.
Huh. And working for Wes, was that fun?
Oh, yeah. Wesley is, I have so many good photos and memories of working with him.
Yeah.
We both had same kind of value sets, and he loved getting engaged with folks all up and down. He was really well liked, both in the Senate side as well as in the Assembly.
Bonnie Neely, did you work with her much?
Bonnie and I were compadres on the Board of Soups. Well, we often worked together as co-chaired or co-members of, because you only could have two on a committee of the board, and we often were like the budget or personnel, that type of thing.
I'm on a roll here. Anna Sparks, were you guys on the same board?
She was. I came on when Paul Kirk, who preceded her or succeeded her.
Okay.
And then I got to know Paul, but not Anna. I knew Anna because at one point we were in the 5th District and then she got to know me, et cetera. But I never was a colleague.
Going back a ways.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Shannon Dixon's dad down in
Yeah.
Ferndale.
Yeah, Stan Dixon.
What a nice man.
Yeah, he and I were compadres as well.
Good servant, public servant, right?
Yep, yep.
Who was the guy that died at the Southern on 101 several years ago? The
Roger Rodoni.
Rodoni. He's also legendary, right?
Oh, yeah, he was tremendous. He and I would do battle, but we'd go out and have a cocktail together and have a good time. So we knew how to lay aside our differences and be friends at the same time. And Johanna took his place, and she's a great gal too, when he got killed in that terrible accident.
Yeah. Kind of a memorable guy. Yeah, it's
Jimmy Smith.
Jimmy Smith, yeah.
Yeah, another
A lot
good
of
man.
years, right?
Yeah. We had a good board then.
Yeah. Yeah, no, appreciate all that you guys do.
It was fun.
We've had Steve Madrone on. Steve's
he's
colorful. He had his cool shirt on.
Yeah, he was active in the forest improvement training projects back in the day, and so he and I worked together on trying to find the funding and supporting those efforts. And yeah, he's close to the land that way, very much so.
I think it says a lot. We differed here, and then we went and had a cocktail, and we were still connected.
Yeah.
Hear that, kids? Wouldn't that be something if we could still do that? Well, John, thanks for being on the show.
Sure, Scott. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, and appreciate the notes. And I'm going to do a whole new note thing. I think like Saturday Night Live when Colin Jost and Mike Shea do the notes. Anyway, hey, it's Scott Hammond. Thanks for joining us. If you like us, show it on the online. Subscribe, share. We're on Access Humboldt. We're on YouTube. We're going to be on TV. Look, there you go.
Good.
And all the podcast platforms. And come back next week. We're going to have another guest. And wanted to say thanks again, John Woolley.
Thank you, Fire. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. We're there.